Hi, welcome to St Margaret's podcast. I'm Sophie.
Today we'll be talking about mental health and I'm Fia.
And I'm Lucy.
And I'm Ava. Let's get into these questions, guys.
Segment 1. What is mental health?
So first things first, what do we actually mean by mental health?
I feel like it's just how people cope with life and all about the struggles in their life and all that.
I feel like some people could have really bad mental health or really good mental health. Like, you never know what's happening behind closed doors.
Yeah, and you just shouldn't judge from the first look at people because you don't know what they could be going through.
Even if someone has a big smile on their face every day, it doesn't mean that they're always smiling at home.
Okay, so do people our age talk about it enough or do they just joke around with it? Ava, what do you think?
I think people just don't take it seriously enough because obviously no one knows what's happening behind closed doors, as I said. Some people just sit there and joke about it thinking it's funny when sometimes that's not funny for people.
Yeah, I get what you mean about that, Ava. I feel like a lot of times people nowadays kind of joke about mental health as a way of that they can cope with it because they feel like they can't really talk to people about it.
I agree. Coping and laughing about mental health in hard situations is a big thing in our generation.
Why don't we bust some myths all about mental health and all that?
Well, I feel like that one of the myths is that people say teenagers don't struggle with mental health, but around about this age is when you have the most things that happen to your life because obviously hormones and all that, you're growing up, you need to find out some ways to cope.
And it's just people expect because we're young we don't go through things, and that's just not true because you don't know what kind of family you have and you don't know how your friends act in school or how teachers treat you or anything just because of who you are.
And people say how young people don't go through different things because they can't be stressed out about because they don't have a job and they don't do everyday adult things that adults do, but they have to cope through going to school, and people don't often people could be bullied through school and all that, and they don't feel like they can say anything in case it gets worse.
Another myth that people feel like are happening is talking about it makes you weak. I disagree. I feel like bottling it up does not help at all, and things bottling it up can just make it worse and stuff. So talking about it to a therapist, or not even a therapist, to someone who you trust, if it's a friend, a guardian, a teacher, or anything, it can really help and it can let everything off your chest and it's not all stuck there.
I 100% agree, Sophie. Some people sit there and they're bottling up and not telling anyone what they're feeling is going to make everyone think everything's okay, when sometimes you need to tell people what's going on behind closed doors because it could get so much to the point that people just don't feel like themselves anymore.
And so when you bottle it up, eventually it'll get to too much and then you'll just explode and you could be seen as a bad person for that, but you actually aren't. It's just that you've been dealing with things for too long and you've not told anyone about them.
I feel like when people bottle it up and they finally have the courage to tell people, it makes them really brave because they have that kind of strength in them to actually tell someone because they might have been going through it for a while now.
Another myth is you should just cheer up. I feel like this is not accurate. Saying to somebody just cheer up, it's not going to help with anything.
See, when you tell someone to just cheer up, you don't know what they're upset about, so you can't expect them to just go straight to happy. They could be struggling really bad. You can't just tell them to cheer up when you don't know what they're going through.
Cheering up isn't always as easy as people make it out. It's not easy. If you told someone to just get money, how hard work would that take? Just cheering up is not something you can just do. It's something that takes practice and learning and mistakes.
Have you guys ever heard people say things like just cheer up or teenagers don't struggle? And why do you think those myths stick around?
I feel like loads of people say it to people if you are doing something and somebody just doesn't seem themselves because they it's not really selfish, but it's also kind of rude to the person because I feel like they just want them to be better, but it's not really that easy for the person who's going through it.
From past experiences, I feel like people just move on for situations too fast, and some people need to dwell on what's happening with their life.
What do you think's a better way that we could support our friends instead of just having to tell them to cheer up all the time?
Maybe telling them that there is other ways to help than just talking. There's always coping mechanisms, and just sometimes even writing letters and drawing things can really help people. And again, not judging them or laughing at them when they open up to you because it just makes them feel any worse, and whatever they're going through, you could make it 10 times worse.
Even if you just sit there and listen to them or just go out with them to take their mind off of things and do something fun, it's not going to make them cheer up straight away, but it's going to give them a little bit more hope to say that things do get better eventually.
Same with like that thing that Fia was saying, like is just be there for them as much as you possibly can. If you know they're going through something hard, being there for them is probably one of the best things you could do. 100%.
Segment 3, celebrities who speak up.
Well, Lewis Capaldi spoke up about his feelings, and everyone took that amazingly well.
Loads of celebrities, even Scottish ones, have spoken about mental health.
I feel like Andy Murray kind of relates to people who have like really high pressure jobs and all that, and like people who are like just going through a lot and they just have like so much pressure on them to be the best.
And also Billie Eilish and Marcus Rashford also went with a lot. Struggles with like, despite being successful, they've had a lot of struggles like with their mental health and stuff.
These are such good examples of people. Some people think that you need more money or a better lifestyle to have better mental health, but it 100% isn't what it is. Sometimes it could be the environment you're in. It sometimes could be just sitting in your bed with your own thoughts.
Do you think it helps when celebrities talk about it, or do you think young people don't really care what they say?
I feel like if a young person heard like a person who was very successful and that was also going through a lot, it could kind of like impact their lives, because they could be like, well, if somebody like that goes through stuff, then that means that somebody like me could also go through stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like people look up to people like that, like take them as their idols and all that. And I feel like if that's more normalised, then people will start speaking up about how they're feeling.
Everything you see on the TV isn't always real. People on the TV are real people with real feelings, and not all the time you might see them and think, oh, money, perfect life, perfect family does not always mean perfect mental health.
I think it really is helpful when they speak up about it, because as Ava said, a lot of people do look up to them. So when younger people think that they are relatable and they're like, they've got all this money and they live good lives and they get to go do a lot of things, then people could think, well, if they go through that, so can I, and I'm going to be able to get through it, and I'm going to be able to actually have a good life.
Guys, we're all in third year. We all know what it's like. We've been here for 3 years. School is never going to be the best thing for you. But some people love school, some people hate school, some people are just in between. Especially people with mental health feel like school is the big one that brings them down the most. But as long as you have like special teachers that you feel you have a bond with and you can talk to, or students, best friends, and all that, like everything, like teachers especially. Some people feel like they can't talk to teachers, but teachers are there to help.
And when sometimes parents don't understand it because they've worked a long day at work too, I don't think they really understand just how hard school can actually be to cope with.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Some people just don't feel like they have enough help in school, but there is, in this school especially, there is places to go for help. And I understand sometimes people feel like, oh no, that's embarrassing, I don't want to get laughed at for going for help. But it's not embarrassing to know what you're doing. It's not embarrassing to get really good scores on a test. That's not embarrassing at all. What's embarrassing is people getting no scores on the test.
So what do you guys do when you go home to de-stress? Personally, I like to sit down, go on TikTok, and maybe even do some drawings and things, and sometimes even read.
Yeah, some things I do to de-stress is literally go home, get my jammies on, go to my bed and watch anything that's on the telly.
I completely get what you mean. I feel like when you go home and there's just like, you don't have any homework and all that, and you can just finally sit back and like relax and just like think about your day and just like de-stress yourself from it and all that.
Like when I go home, I just like to go in and like straight away I just go to my dog, because like I actually love him so much. But it's just like, it's so much easier coming home from school, and then as I said, you get to think about your day, you get to think about what happened. You don't have to worry about like getting up and going other places like fast and worrying about like what teachers you have next or anything. It's just like nice to go home and being able to actually just like sit down and take a minute.
See, when you just go home, this is like personal advice, which I would say, if you go home and something bad's happened in school, don't go to your bed worrying about it, because it won't start you off for a good day in the next morning. You want to go to bed having a clean mind. Just everything that happened that day, just don't think about it.
I completely agree, Ava, because I feel like if you go home and go straight to your bed, it just ends up you waking up the next morning, wanting to stay in your bed, not go to school, not see anyone. And it gets to the point where it's going to affect your attendance, your job when you're older, like your mental health, your parents. Because it's still illegal to leave your home when you're our age, and it could get them into bother, and it could just make everything worse, especially if they need to stay home from their work to take care of you. They could lose their money and things. And mental health isn't something to just like joke about as well. Like, see, when people joke about you not coming in because of your mental health, they don't know what's happened the night before. They don't know what's going on in your home life. And if it's getting to the point where you feel like you need to stay in your bed and not leave, you should really ask for help.
Yeah, I feel like if like you were at school and something happened with your friends or like just like stuff in general with people, the next day if it's like not sorted, you just kind of feel like no motivation to get up and go to school. And I don't think that's what it should be like going to school. You should go to school being like ready to learn and like ready to get up and like go be with your friends and have fun and all that, because that's kind of what school's about.
How would you guys say use de-stress in school?
Right. 100% Miss Campbell has the best camel llama in the full entire world. It's this little like squishy, but it's a llama and she calls it the camel llama. If you ever feel like you're going to rip somebody's throat out, you go up and you get that, and it's the best thing ever.
I'm going to say about the camel llama as well, because like, see, when I love to tap my pen in class, and like it can really annoy some people and it can trigger some people. So, or like, and sometimes I just do it if I'm like annoyed or something, or I've had a bad day. So when I have the camel llama, it distracts me from tapping my pen or things.
It genuinely does calm us down. The camel llama really works, guys. I think you should invest in one. Right, guys, I think we should leave it there. But even if you're feeling like this and you think you're alone, no, you're not. You've got your teachers, you've got your friends, and even you've got some charities. So, breathing space for only if you're over 16. Scottish accent and fear.
The Samaritans, and their phone number is 116 123.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for listening.